Hello, Tom here at the Budo Academy. We're going to take a look at one of the very first waza that students learn when they decide to train in Iaido. It's called Mai, and different people do it different ways. Let's take a look at it. Mai is a very, very difficult waza to do. And folks always ask me, then why are you showing that to beginners? Well, the reason why Mai can be very difficult is because of that horizontal cut that we have to do that goes across. It's called the ichimonji cut. The Japanese symbol for one is a slash that goes across. That's why the draw is named after that character. It takes a great amount of practice and training to get the muscle memory that's needed to do that style of draw. Also, the coordination to do that type of draw is really, really difficult. You have to coordinate your right hand with your left hand, your upper body and your lower body, and you have to do it from this position here. When you're up on one and you have one knee on the ground. This isn't natural to most people unless you're doing some form of exercise. So to practice a horizontal cut, which is really difficult to do from a position that we're not used to being in, yeah, I guess this is pretty hard, isn't it? But that's why we give it to beginners. If something's really difficult to do, let's get you going on it right away. And I'll go over how we teach it here in this dojo. Let me get in the camera a little bit better here. So we go into a seiza position, and then we sit on our feet, and then we put about 2 fists of space between our knees. We have good posture. We're not slouched back like this. And we have a slight amount of tension in our bottom part of our body here where the muscle tension is almost like we're hovering over our feet. But just a little bit. It doesn't have to be intense. Just a little bit. So we're ready to go. And then the story goes that we notice a movement in front of us, that our opponent is threatening us. So we bring our left hand to our sword, and then we bring it down to the right hand as we release the tsuba with our thumb. Now it's broken loose from the koiguchi, or the opening of the saya. And then what happens is we straighten out our right arm, and we rise up with our sword in front of us preferably. And at the same time, we're going to square off our feet back here. And I'm going to go on the balls of my feet. And then we're going to stretch out even more. At the same time, we're going to push back our saya in the same direction as the curve, like so. And then what's going to happen is we're going to turn our saya almost 90 degrees, parallel with the floor. And I should feel the back of my saya into my hips, so I know I've turned it enough. And then I rotate my body very slightly to the left to open up my right hip so my right foot can come out. And my foot comes out in front of my knee, and then we cut across, just below the neck at chest level. And then we bring the sword around to our left shoulder so our tsuba stays in line with our nose. It doesn't go past. We rise up, and as soon as our left hand touches the handle, we extend out and cut. From here, we let go with our left hand. We push the sword out to about the same position it was when we did the draw, give or take. We do a little bit of a bicep curl. We don't drop the tip too much. We stand up and do a circle, a chiburi. And then our right foot goes way back so our sword is level with our toes. And we give pressure forward as our saya gets ready to receive the blade back. Put the sword on top of our web of our left hand. Push it out. Place in the koiguchi. Let it pause for a second. And then we go down. And our knee touches the ground at the same time the sword gets put away. And what we do here is we check to make sure that our foot ended up in front of our knee, not behind, because that's bad for your knees. Right hand goes out to the end of the sword handle, which is called the skagashira. And then we rise up and go forward with our knees bent. And we go back 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. Right hand goes down, left hand goes down. Now we can relax. End of waza. Now, what's important to understand is different styles do this waza with some differences in it. And we tell the students here all the time, be careful going on the internet to try and imitate other styles that you may see, because different people have reasons for doing different movements in their waza as well. There's usually a reason or a story behind it. And immediately it starts with the draw. Immediately, actually, it starts with how we sit in seiza. Some schools just go right into seiza like this. They just tuck their hakama and they sit right down. Other schools like ours will do a slight little hakama sabaki to flick away the bottom of our hakama so we don't get tangled up when we move. Okay? Some schools just go right for the sword and start to draw right away. That's fine. That's what they do. We have a little bit more of a traditional approach where we bring the sword down to the right hand. And that gets asked a lot as to why. Well, if you have another short sword, and I happen to have one right here, a wakizashi or a kodachi, and if that's in our obi, well, now this is going to get in the way if you bring that right hand straight across. You'll never make it to your handle, and then your opponent's going to get you because you weren't quick enough to get there. However, if you bring the sword down with the left hand and let your right hand just feel for it, now it's effortless when you rise up and do that draw, and this did not get in the way. Also, the draw itself can be much, much different depending upon which art you're studying. Now, I don't pretend to be an authority on all the sword arts on the planet, that's for sure, but I do notice some differences when I watch other people practice, and those type of things interest me a lot, especially when I'm teaching this art. The draw itself, which is what you're really learning, can be really important as to which style you're practicing. And what I mean by that is some folks tend to have a hanmi style posture, which means your left shoulder's pulled back a little bit and the sword doesn't cut all the way across. It stops here at your center line a little bit. And then what happens is the left knee can scoot up to the right foot and then do the cut. That's different. That's very different. To a beginner, they may not see differences like that, but it's very different. The other thing you may notice is my furi kaburi, which means getting the sword ready for the big cut. Some schools bring the point straight down like this and cut all the way across like that. Our school tends to come up like this for the beginners. You'll see other schools bring the sword up to a jodan position, and then they'll cut down. Perhaps that means they have less distance to cover, so they have more time to do the cut. It's up to whatever they teach. Where you place your draw at the beginning can be very different. Some schools go for the throat, other schools go for the arm, some go for the eyes, and the applications are different. If I'm in this position here, and if you look at the height of my head against the background, and then I sit down into seiza, well, now my eyes and my throat are at a different height than if I was here. So again, different heights of cuts are done for different reasons. Even shiburi, the part where you flick the blood off the blade, so to speak, can be very different too. When some folks go into this movement, they may leave their sword out here facing their opponent. Some schools like ours keep it even with your toes. Also going into shiburi can be very different. You'll notice differences like this. Some folks will go into shiburi and both feet will stand on the ground as you rise straight up like this and then go forward and then go back. Again, I'm not an authority on these different styles, but there are differences that I notice that sometimes students are doing here in the dojo. They're not wrong, they're just different. So I hope this helps when you're practicing on your own, you're practicing at home. Take a look at what you're doing. Take a look at the style that you're practicing and what your teacher wants you to do. And if you're looking for more help, contact us about our distance program, and we're happy to help you out. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. Thanks for your support, and we'll talk to you soon.